have some very exciting news for everybody. If you know anything about kastking, which is, right there, and all over here, kastking really made their name. Their very first product was fishing line. And ever since then, in the last 5 or 6 years, they've expanded this and they've gotten into the gear. You're going to see a lot more stuff. I mean, the Extremist line is more camping stuff, outdoor stuff, which has been introduced here lately. And Mad Bite is going to be coming out pretty soon. Can't tell you anything about that, but get excited. But what they've done is they've taken braid line, and one thing about braid can be tough to tie. Braid can slow down our casts. Braid can do a lot of different things, and it's very strong. It doesn't stretch, doesn't have a memory. It's really nice. And most of us like to use braid line. So if you were able to design your own braid, put your wish list together, and just open a box, and there it would be. What would you wish for? Well, that's kind of what kastking has done. Kastking has taken what you would wish for in a braid line and is about to come out with something, well, it's revolutionary. It will change the market in fishing for a long time. And this particular braid will have 13 strands. That's right. Now you think, okay, well, if you got one with 4 strands, one with 8 strands, things like that, and that makes it bigger and bulkier, tougher to cast, tougher to tie, things like that. What would your wish list look like on a 13-strand line? Well, your 13-strand line would be very, very small in diameter. It would cast farther than anything that you've owned. It would last for years on your reel. It wouldn't fray. It would be color fast. It wouldn't fade. You would probably put all those things on that list, wouldn't you? Well, kastking did. They put it on their list. And they went to the labs. And they went back to what they originally started out with. Fishing line. That's won many, many awards. This new fishing line is called the kastking or kastpro 13X finesse fishing line. It will cast longer than you're used to. It'll last longer than anything else in your tackle. I mean, literally, this line is incredible. Think about 13 strands of ultra-high molecular UHMPE fiber. Using this particular hybrid fiber and the weaving process, kastking created the smoothest, most supple, and longest casting braided line for finesse and other techniques. It's an amazing line we're about to get onto the market. It's extremely thin, it's soft, it's smooth, and did I say supple already? I think I did. But also, it has remarkable knot strength and straight line breaking strength. So this line, you could just put a 40-pound on it and still have a lot of line on your reels and be able to pull it through the thickest of covers. Kastking's also produced not only a 13-strand, but also an 8-strand as well in this finesse braided line. So it's almost identical in characteristics to the 13 carrier twin. Many anglers will opt to use the kastpro 8 times finesse for its incredible value. So obviously it'll be lower in cost. It's still going to be soft. Oh, did I say supple? I think I did. Quiet, long casting, and great knot strength. So it's going to, the 8 times, or the 8 strand is going to come in at obviously a lower price. And after years of working on this wish list, now we're about to see it come out in April. Get excited, because the reviews of professional fishermen, bass fishermen, have already had a chance to use this. Let me read some of their quotes. Here's one quote by Brent Chapman. He's a 14-time Bassmaster Classic qualifier, Bassmaster Angler of the Year in 2012, Bass Pro Tour and Major League Fishing angler. He says, quote, kastking kastpro 13 times finesse line is amazing. It's the smoothest, most sensitive line I've ever used. Plus, I can cast it a mile. This is going to give me a competitive advantage. He goes on, smoothness and quietness through the guides during casting and retrieves. The smoothness on how the line rolls off the reels when casting is unparalleled to other lines I have used in the past. The 8 carrier is a game changer in the sensitivity department and will have other brands scratching their heads on how to match it. Now, another quote, Chantry Cunning is a professional walleye angler. He said this about it, quote, the thin diameter of the 8 carrier will help by being able to upsize line strength while remaining small enough to achieve greater depths with smaller baits. Richard Cooper, who's a professional bass angler, National Professional Bass League fisherman, quote, says this, quote, the new kastking kastpro 13 times finesse braid is by far the smoothest braid I have ever used, and the knot strength is amazing, end quote. Yeah, this particular braid is going to change the industry. Sandy Roberts, who's a professional bass angler, sorry, Sandy, she says this, quote, the kastking kastpro 13 times is now my go-to line for drop shots and Ned rigs. The line is easy to accurately cast to your target and is exceptionally smooth. You don't feel any bumps. It does not make any sound while going through the guides. I really enjoy this line. It is very sleek. When you run this line between your fingers, it is unmatched. Kind of reminds me of running my hand over soft velvet, but it is very strong. I tried to break it on purpose and wasn't able to. The line is thin, but it's very strong. So, in the press release, they did test this with lots of professional anglers, and one over another. I mean, I've got a ton of quotes in front of me of these anglers, and some of them just go on and on and on about this particular line. If you want the strongest, toughest, smoothest, sleekest, supple, farthest casting braid line, soon the kastpro 13 times and the 8 times finesse line is going to hit the market in the next couple weeks. So what is it going to cost? Well, let's just ballparks here because it'll change by spool and by weight. So kastking kastpro finesse fishing lines retail pricing is planned to start at $17.99 for 150 yards. The 8 times and for the 8 times, and also $29.99 for 150 yards for the 13 times. So there's your change in price. 150 yards for $18 for the 8 times and $30 for the 13 times. But I will tell you, from what I've read and what I've heard, and I've talked to the developer of this line personally, this line you can keep on your reels for years. And you can, maybe switch it over to another reel by reversing it. But nonetheless, this line, and I go through a lot of lines. I mean, there's a bunch of lines up here. I've got my fluorocarbon. I got my mono. I've got my braids. I've got I mean I've got a bunch of line. I mean, so I even have the non finesse. So the kastpro. I love kastking fishing line. It just is very reliable. I don't break line. And their covert, which is a new fluorocarbon line by them this year, has been absolutely amazing for me. A lot of ice fishing with it. And of course, last weekend's tournament, I fished with it as well. So please, I will keep an eye on kastking.com and amazon.com for the kastking or kastpro 13X finesse. Obviously, you've seen it, a picture of it in the description of this particular announcement, and I've put it obviously throughout. So I hope you get excited about this, because this line will change the way we fish. We will be better at it, and we don't have to re-spool our lines all the time. So I hope you enjoy this, get excited about this, and I will see you out on the water.